Good morning. Uh, this recording is for my students who are taking vocabulary developments. So I have decided to do this recording to solve the problem of incapability of many of you when it comes to the internet access, when it comes to using Microsoft Teams, even Zoom application. Many of you don't have their university emails. So I've decided to record this lecture, and at least by doing this, I would solve this problem, or maybe I will see if it works. At least I will give it a try to see if it works. If it didn't work, then we will see what can be done so that these problems can be solved. For the time being, let's be optimistic and let's hope that this would work. Okay, let me share the screen with you, and now to talk a little bit about the book that's going to be used for vocabulary development. Okay, I'm going to share the screen and to talk a little bit about the book, to show you the book, and then go straight to our lecture. This is the book, Academic Vocabulary in Use. Okay. Here we go. Okay, this is the book. It's from Cambridge University, and Academic Vocabulary in Use. All right. It has 50 units of academic vocabulary, reference and practice, self-study and classroom use. Okay, it's written by Michael McCarthy and Felicity Odin. Okay, the first lecture can be found on page 11. Here we go. This is the lecture. This is the first lecture, or this is the first lesson of the book, and can be found, as I said, in page 11. So, what's special about academic English? Everyday words and academic uses. Many words in academic English are the same as everyday vocabulary, but they are often also used with a slightly different meaning, which may be specialized. Let's look at the table here. Everyday or academic use and the meaning. Okay. Again, academic use and meaning. Okay, this is the table. So it talks about the words that can be used academically and the words that can be used on daily basis. The same word, it is the same word, but in certain situations can be used academically, but in other situations can be used on daily basis. What are these words? Discipline. It was given to us, and as you can see here, it has been written on bold. Discipline, to let you know about this word. Okay, this is the word that we are talking about. So standard of discipline in schools have declined. So this is the first example. Can you see the word discipline? Standards of discipline in schools have declined. So what's the meaning of this sentence, especially the word discipline in this sentence? Keep in mind that we're talking about everyday use. So the words or the terms that can be used on daily basis. However, the same word, which is discipline, can be used academically. And this is what we are going to see with the second example. As for this example, the standard of discipline in schools have declined. The meaning, ability to control oneself or other people. So the meaning of discipline, ability to control oneself or other people. So I think it's clear, right? Even another example, maybe if you want to let somebody that is a child is not doing or is not behaving in a proper way, so you might come to his father or his mother and tell him you need to discipline your child. So you need to discipline your child. So it's a kind of a word that can be used every day. Okay, so this is the meaning of this word when it comes to the usage of this word on daily basis. However, academically, it's going to have a different meaning. Okay, like the example here. Okay, let's look at the example. Nanotechnology is a relatively new discipline. Nanotechnology is a relatively new discipline. So what's the meaning of discipline in this sentence? Okay, it means what? Area of study. Area of study. So discipline here means area of study. So it has nothing to do with the ability to control yourself or to control others, or no, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with kind of a field, area of study. Nanotechnology is a relatively new discipline. So this is the first example in which the word discipline can be used on daily basis and academically. And you can see the difference between the two meanings, because it's the same word, but it has two different meanings. Okay, as for the second example, it's underline. Underline. Again, we have one word, but it can be used every day, but at the same time, it can be used academically. When it comes to everyday use, underline your family name on the form. Underline your family name on the form. So what does that mean? It means to do a line under it, to do a line under it. So when you go to a hospital or when you go to anywhere where you would give you a form in which something that needs to be underlined, your name or whatever kind of information. So they would tell you underline your family name, underline this or that. So when it comes to daily basis usage of this word, it means what? It means that you have to do a line, okay? To do a line under whatever is being asked to put a line under, okay? When it comes to academic use, the research underlines the importance of international trade agreement. The research underlines the importance of international trade agreement. So the meaning of underline here is different from the first one, which is the drawing a line under your family name or whatever. Okay, so when it comes to the second mean, to academic use of this word underline, give emphasis to. So look, let's go back to the sentence or the example of the sentence. The research underlines the importance of international trade agreement. We will see that the underlines here, it gives the emphasis. It puts emphasis or gives emphasis. Okay, so it puts emphasis on something. Okay. Okay, so this is when it comes to the second word, which is underline. The third word and the last word that we have in this table, which is the lake was frozen solid. The lake was frozen solid. So the meaning of this, keep in mind that we're talking about everyday use of this word, the everyday use of this word, which is solid. The lake was frozen solid. The meaning, not liquid or gas. Not liquid or gas, it's solid, not liquid or gas. Okay, however, when it comes to academic use of this word, we have no solid evidence that radiation has caused the problem. We have no solid evidence that radiation has caused the problem. So the meaning of solid here, certain or safe of a good standards. Certain or safe of a good standard. So compare the first meaning with the second meaning, you will find that they wouldn't be the same and they are totally different. Okay, so this is when it comes to A. Let's go to B, vocabulary and academic style. Vocabulary and academic style. In writing, academics use many expressions which are neutral, but they also use rather formal expressions which are not common in everyday language. Knowing whether an expression is formal or not, knowing whether an expression is formal or just neutral is important. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Again, in writing, this is when it comes to writing, by the way. So in writing, academics use many expressions which are neutral, but they also use rather formal expressions which are not common in everyday language. And you have to know, knowing whether an expression is formal or just neutral is important. So you have to know whether this expression is formal or neutral. A table was given to us to understand what's it about. Okay, so let's look at the table. The first column, neutral, and then more formal. Again, neutral and more formal. Okay, when it comes to the words that can be neutral, in short, briefly, basically, these expressions are neutral, can be used academically as well as it can be used even when you are writing something, but it's not a kind of academic writing. It can be used in short, briefly, basically. However, when it comes to academic writing, or the academics must use all these two expressions in sum or to sum up. And by the way, this is at the end of the writing, okay, or the topic that's been written. So when you want to conclude or to write the conclusion, so you would start with in sum or to sum up, okay. This is academically. However, if the kind of writing is not it's not a must that it should be academic. I mean, you can write a letter, whatever it is. You can use in short, briefly, basically. So this is when you are writing a letter, when you are writing anything, but not the kind of academic writing. Okay. So this is in short, briefly, basically. These words are neutral. However, academically, it's a must to use in sum or to sum up. Okay. The second word, only. Okay, it's a neutral word. It's a neutral word. More formal, solely. More formal, the word solely. Okay, almost, more or less. These three words are neutral, but more formal, or it's virtually more formal. Keep in mind, when we say more formal, this is the type of words that should be used academically. More formal, because they are more formal, so it should be used academically. So academically, you cannot use almost, more or less. Rather, you need to write a word like virtually. Okay. Try. The word try. It's neutral. More formal, attempt. Okay. Mainly, mostly, these two words are neutral. More formal, primarily. Another neutral word which is typical of, more formal, characteristic of. Typical of, characteristic of. Okay. However, very informal vocabulary may be used in spoken academic style in classes and lectures. Learn to understand such language when you hear it, but be careful not to use it in essays and written assignments. Here are some examples of teachers using informal language. Okay, again, I'm going to repeat these three lines because they are very important. I want you to follow me and not to get distracted. Okay. However, very informal vocabulary may be used in a spoken academic style in classes and lectures. Learn to understand such language when you hear it, but be careful not to use it in essays and written assignments. Here are some examples of teachers using informal language. Okay, have a shot at doing task number 3. So this is perfectly normal in a class to hear your teacher or your professor saying an expression like this. Okay, have a shot at doing task number 3, task number 4, task whatever it is. This is okay, but more formal. It should be try or attempt to do, not have a shot at. So you see the difference here. So in writing, you cannot write something like, okay, now let's have a shot at looking at exercise, whatever it is, the number, so and so, rather than try or attempt to do, okay? So the sentence becomes try to do task number 3, or attempt to do task number 3, rather than have a shot at doing task number 3. So the difference between these two sentences can be seen. It's clear when it is academically or when it is not, okay? There is no way, this is another example. There is no way schools can be held responsible for failures of government policy. So this is another example where this type of language can be used. Okay, it's okay to be used in class, to be used in teaching. However, be careful when it comes to writing. When it comes to writing, it cannot be used. Okay, again, there's no way schools can be held responsible for failures of government policy. More formal, schools cannot in any way be held responsible for failures of government policy. So when you want your sentence to be look more formal, instead of using there is no way schools, instead of starting the sentence by saying there is no way schools can be held responsible for the failure of the government policy, you have to start with schools cannot in any way. This is the way it works, okay? Schools cannot in any way be held responsible for failures of government policy. I hope this is clear. All right. Academic language tries to be clear and precise. So it is important to keep a vocabulary notebook, see page 8, and learn the differences between similar words as well as typical word combinations underlined here. So again, in case you didn't get that, academic language tries to be clear and precise. So it's important to keep a vocabulary notebook, see page 8, and learn the differences between similar words as well as typical word combinations underlined here. Okay, these are the typical combination, okay? The first sentence, the building is a prime example of 1920s architecture. Okay, so the typical combination, it means two words to be combined and written together, like prime example, it's underlined, okay? Or the second example, the group's primary concern. So prime example or primary concern is a typical word combination, okay? And going back to the first sentence, the building is a prime example of 1920s architecture. What does that mean? We're talking about the underlined word combination here, prime example. It means excellent inequality or value, excellent inequality or value. Again, the building is a prime example of 1920s architecture. It means excellent. The building, the building, it is excellent, inequality or value, okay? As for the second example, the group's primary concern is to protect human rights. The group's primary concern is to protect human rights. So what does that mean? Primary concern. It means main or most important. The main or the most important. Again, the group's primary concern is to protect human rights. It means the group's main concern is to protect the human rights. Or the most important thing for this group is to protect human rights. So it's a kind of priority. It's a kind of priority. It's number one. There's no compromise with that. Okay, it's human rights, so it's number one. All right. So hopefully this was clear as well. Let's move to C now. Noun phrases. Noun phrases. Academic language puts a lot of information into noun phrases rather than spreading it out over a whole sentence. For example, instead of saying radiation was accidentally released over a 24-hour period, damaging a wide area for a long time, an academic might say the accidental release of radiation over a 24-hour period caused widespread long-term damage. Okay, let me repeat that. It talks about what? It talks about noun phrases. Academic language puts a lot of information into noun phrases rather than spreading it out over a whole sentence. For example, instead of saying radiation was accidentally released over a 24-hour period, damaging a wide area for a long time, an academic might say the accidental release of radiation over a 24-hour period caused a widespread long-term damage. It's therefore important to learn the different forms of a word. For example, so let's look at the table here. We have the noun. We have a word, okay? A word can be seen in different forms, okay? It can be a noun, it can be a verb, it can be an adjective, it can be an adverb, okay? So this table tries to explain how this word can be seen in these different forms, okay? So the word accident, it's a noun, right? It's a noun, okay. What's the verb of accident? It doesn't have. It doesn't have. So there is no verb for the noun accident. However, when it comes to the adverb, it's there, which is accidental. So the adjective of an accident is accidental, okay? And the adverb of accident is accidentally, all right? The second word, quantity or quantification. It's a noun, quantity or quantification. What's the verb of quantity or quantification? Is quantify. This is the verb of the noun quantity. This is the verb of the noun quantity, which is quantify. And what's the adjective of quantity or quantification? Is quantitatively. Quantitative or quantifiable. Quantitative or quantifiable. This is the adjective. The adverb, quantitatively or quantifiably. Quantitatively or quantifiably. Okay, finally, be aware of junks or phrases which occur frequently and learn them as whole units. Examples in terms of, in addition, for the most part, in the case of, etc. See unit 16. So in case you want to see more of these expressions, go to page 16, or sorry, go to unit 16, where this can be found, okay? All right, now let's go to the next page, which is exercises, and do these exercises. All right. 1.1. 1.1. Okay. Each word in the text, each word in the box can be used in two ways. One, an everyday way, the other, a typically academic way. Complete each pair of sentences using the same word for all sentences and make any necessary grammatical changes. Okay, so we've been given a list, many words in it, okay, generate, turn, solid, confirm, identify, underline, character, pose, nature, focus. Okay, these are the words. Generate, turn, solid, confirm, identify, underline, character, pose, nature, focus. Okay, so what do you think about the first sentence? Which word can be used? We've got two sentences, A and B, for each number. Okay, I want you to look at this. I want you to understand this perfectly well so that we can know how this exercises can be done, okay? So we've got 10 numbers, right? From 1 to 10. And each number has two letters, A and B. So what does that mean? It means what? Each word can be used twice. One, the everyday use, and the second, the academic use, okay? Everyday use and academic use. the thing that we have discussed at the beginning of this lecture, when we said that the words can be used on daily basis, others can be used academically. So we have the same word. However, when it comes to the meaning, it's going to be different because the usage of this word can be it wouldn't be the same. Whether it is the thing that can use it every day or academically. Okay, she loves. What do you think? What do you think about what's the suitable word that can be used to solve this to answer this question? She loves to pose, right? She loves to pose for photographs in front of her fabulous house. She loves to pose for photographs in front of her fabulous house. Okay. B, the events, pose. And A, by the way, A is everyday use, okay? Everyday use, the words that can be used every day, okay? On daily basis, okay, can be used every day. Pose is a kind of a word that can be used every day. So even when you are reading or you are talking or you are whatever, somebody might stop you to tell you pause for a second. But or when you are watching a video, for example, and you want to pause for a second, so to think of what's been said in this video, so to pause, okay? This can be used every day. However, when it comes to the academic use, the events pose a threat and to stability in the region. The events pose a threat to stability in the region. Okay, I hope this was clear. So the first word is pose. Number 2, it was difficult to what? It was difficult to the camera on the flower as it was so small. So what do you think about the word that can be used out of the number of words given in the list? It was difficult to focus, okay? It was difficult to focus the camera on the flower as it was so small, So it was difficult to focus the camera on the flower as it was so small. So this is everyday use. The word focus can be used every day, okay? However, when it comes to the academic use of this word, we should focus our attention on the most important issues. We should focus our attention on the most important issues. This is, for example, in a lecture, when the discussion is serious and the lecture is important, and some students would raise some questions that might be seen very easy. So there's no need to waste our time in discussing these questions rather than to focus on the most important things for this lecture. Okay, so I hope it's clear. We should focus our attention on the most important issues. Okay, that was number 2. What about number 3? I called the airline and my reservation. I called the airline and what? And confirmed. I called the airline and confirmed my reservation. This word can be used every day. So when you are planning to go somewhere by using one of these airlines, so you might call the airline office to confirm your reservation, so to confirm that you are going to take this flight. Okay. Okay, that was A. What about B? The data, or the data, as you wish. It can be pronounced in 2 ways. Okay, the data confirmed my hypothesis that animal lovers enjoy better health. The data confirmed my hypothesis that animal lovers enjoy better health. Okay, so that was number 3. And number 4. What do you think about number 4? The power plant. The power plant is what? The power plant generates and keep in mind why we say generates and not generates, because the word is generate without s. Okay, sorry. The word is generate without S. Why we should add S to generate? Because it tells you at the end of the question, complete each pair of sentences using the same word for both sentences and make any necessary grammatical changes grammatical changes. So and you need to add S. This is the third person singular. So whatever there is an it, okay, it must be followed by a verb, and this verb should take S. This is basic English, so it's for beginners. I mean, I think it's clear. There's no need even to talk about it. Okay, so the power plant generates electricity for the whole region. The power plant generates electricity for the whole region. This is everyday use. When it comes to academic use, this issue always generates a great deal of debate among academics. This issue always generates a great debate of a good deal of debate among academics. All right, that was number 4. What about number 5? The murder was what? From fingerprints discovered at the scene. So what do you think? What do you think about this sentence? What is the right word that can be used out of the list that was given to us? The murder was identified. The murder was identified from fingerprints discovered at the scene. Okay, identified. Identified again is we need to put it as identified, not identify. Okay, identified, not as identify. Okay, was identified because this is passive. Because passive, so identified, not a third person singular, not third person singular. Past perfect. Sorry, past perfect. Identify, identified. It's a past perfect, so it should be in a form of a past perfect because it is the passive. The murder was identified from fingerprints discovered at the scene. All right. Okay. So what about B? What about B? In this theory of history, progress is closely identified with technology. In this theory of history, progress is closely identified with technology. All right. So that was number 5. What about 6? She became interested in conservation. She became interested in conservation. So what do you think about this word, or the right word for this sentence? She became interested in nature. She became interested in nature conservation. Okay. Number B, the first lecture in the series was on the nature of a human communication. The first lecture in the series was on the nature of a human communication. Okay, that was number 6. What about number 7? Number 7. James is a very interesting. What do you think about the words? James is a very interesting. I hope you meet him. So what do you think about we need to go back to the list to see to let you know about to see the options okay, here are the options. Generate is already used, confirm used, identify used, but we didn't use turn yet. Solid we didn't, underline, character, focus. I guess these ones we did not use them yet. So what do you think about number 7? Okay, James is a very interesting character. Character, this is the word that should be used, character, okay, for 7, character for 7, okay. James, a very interesting character. I hope you meet him. And this word character can be used every day, can be used, I mean, it's not, it can be used every day, it can be used academically as well. But for this sentence, James is a very interesting character. I hope you see him. So this is when you have a discussion, or you know, with a friend, and you want to let him know about your friend. Okay, you tell him that this person has a very nice character, and hope you see him. Okay, so can be used every day. However, when it comes to the academic use of character, the book attempts to explain the fundamental character of social life. You see how it looks different now. The book attempts to explain the fundamental character of social life. Okay, that was now 7. What about 8? I saw her to her husband and whisper something in his ear. I saw her what? We saw her what? Number 8. I saw her turn to her husband. So I saw her turn to her husband and whisper something in his ear. Okay, turn, this can be used every day. Okay, the word turn can be used every day. However, it can be used academically as well. Let us now turn to the subject of town planning. Let's now turn to the subject of town planning. Okay, number 9, he always, what? Number 9, he always every new word when he's reading. Okay, so he always every new word when he is reading. He always underlines. He always underlines. It puts a line under. So he always underlines. This is a word that can be used. Where is underline? Underline. Yes, this word underline. Okay, can you see it? Okay, the number 9. He always underlines every new word when he is reading. Okay. B. The study underlines. It underlines. Okay, the study. We talk about the study. The study underlines the fact that very little research exists. The study underlines the fact that very little research exists. Okay. Number 10. The liquid became what? The liquid became as the temperature was lowered. The liquid became as the temperature was lowered. The liquid became solid as the temperature was lowered. This word can be used every day. Solid, okay? In a sentence like this, the liquid became solid as the temperature was lowered. However, when it comes to academic use of this word, the study lacks solid evidence, and therefore its conclusions are doubtful. Okay, so the study lacks solid evidence, and therefore its conclusions are doubtful. All right. Okay, I hope the first question, or when it comes to the exercises that we have in this on this page, hopefully it was clear. Okay, hopefully 1.1 is clear. What about 1.2? 1.2. Okay. Use more formal alternatives to the words involved. Again, use more formal alternatives to the words involved. Make any necessary grammatical changes. Okay, as we can see here, we've been given eight sentences, and in every sentence, you will find at least one word has been written in bold. You would find a word that has been written in bold. Okay, so it tells you what to use more formal alternatives to the words in bold. Okay, and I just use or make any necessary grammatical changes. Okay, so I'm going to do this one, the first one, just to show you how this can be done. As for the rest, you have to do them. You should try to do them at home. And I guess it will be a good idea to leave something to do. I mean, you shouldn't expect that I'll do everything. At least I'll give you something as homework so that you can try to do it, and you can let me know, or you can leave a comment on the page on Facebook that was created for this group, whether it is vocabulary development group 1 or vocabulary development group 2. So you can put some comments on, even you can submit your homework there to let me know whether you've got them correctly or not. Okay, so I'll do the first one to show you how this can be done. As for number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, this can be you can consider this your homework. Okay, you need to try to do something. Okay, all right. So number 1, the book is mainly concerned with the problem of policing the internet. Okay, the book is mainly concerned with the problem of policing the internet. Okay, where's the word that has been written in bold? Okay, mainly is the word that was written in bold. So we need to change this to more formal alternative. As it says in this exercise, use more formal alternative. So what is the word that can be used, which is more formal, so that we can replace mainly with? So that we can replace this word mainly with. So what do you think about this? What do you think about this word mainly? Mainly, this is the word mainly. Okay, it has been written in bold, and it should be used with more alternatives, more formal alternative. Okay, so let's go back to the first page, or to the first the first page where we had to discuss all of this. Okay, so we're talking about mainly. Where this can be found? It can be found here, mainly. Okay, mainly. So it's a neutral word. It's a neutral word. So what is the more formal, or more formal for mainly or mostly? Primarily. So go there, all right, and replace this word mainly with what? Primarily. Okay, is it clear now? So you have to do that all the time. So by going to the second word, which is almost, this is the word that we need to change, so that it becomes more formal. Becomes the whole sentence becomes more formal. So almost, this is the second one. So we need to go to the first page and see the word that can be used instead of almost. Almost. Where is it? Where this can be found? Almost. Almost. Here we go. Here we go. Almost. More or less. The word that we need to use instead of almost is what? Virtually. Virtually is the word that can be used instead of almost. Okay. So that the sentence would look more formal. Okay. So instead of using almost, every school in the country has reported problems. With the new system, we can say virtually every school in the country has reported problems with the new system. Okay, as for number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you have to do the same. Go to the word that has been written in bold and go to the first page where the alternative can be found, so that the whole sentence becomes more formal. All right. Okay, as for 1.3, I want you to take it as homework as well. Okay, read the text and then answer the questions. Okay, you need to read the text, and after that, go to the questions and let's see how this can be done. Okay, the production of plastics depends heavily on petroleum, but a novel way of making plastics out of sugar could reduce our reliance on oil. This discovery, that a chemical in sugar can be converted alternatively easily into a substance similar in structure to the material obtained from petroleum, has led to the claim that plastics could soon be produced cheaply using the new method. Okay, this is the text. This is the text, and 3 questions were given to us. Number 1, underline 2 verbs underline two verbs with the adverbs after them. Okay, so you need to go back to the text and search for two verbs with adverbs after them. So two verbs that have been followed with adverbs. Okay, which it would be useful to learn as pairs. So what do you think about these two verbs that have been followed with the adverbs? What do you think about them? Okay, we can see I guess the first verb is what depends heavily. So I'm going to use to show the first one, and you have to search for the second one. Okay, you have to search for the second. You have the text, and I've shown you the way, and then you get the second one by yourself. Okay, so the production of plastics depends heavily. Depends is a verb, right? It's a verb. It's a verb, and it has been followed by an adverb. Okay, so that was number one. So go ahead and do the second one. We need another verb with an adverb, okay? Number two, underline two adverbs next to each other. Underline two adverbs next to each other, which it would be useful to learn together. Okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Two adverbs next to each other. Two adverbs next to each other. What are they? Relatively easily. Relatively easily, all right? Relatively is an adverb. Easily is an adverb. There are two adverbs, okay? So two adverbs next to each other. These are two adverbs next to each other. Okay, that was number two. The number three, which is the last thing that we have for today. What are the noun forms of the verbs produce, rely, discover, and claim? Okay, take number three as homework as well. I think it's very easy. The noun of produce or rely, discover, or claim. I'm not going to tell you what these are, so you can do it by yourself, and you can write a comment in our page on Facebook and let me know what you have done. Thanks for listening, and hopefully this lecture was useful, and see you next time. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.